Let's go straight to the big board on this Super Tuesday. NBC News national political correspondent Steve Kornacki. Steve, your latest article for NBCNews.com explains why the delegate math shows Haley has little room to stop Trump. So I'm curious, given all that and what we're looking at tonight, what you'll be looking for digging into the numbers tonight.
Yeah, a couple things. I mean, first of all, the big picture thing to keep in mind here is you look in yellow, all the states on the Republican side with contests today. The rules on the Republican side for this primary season are designed to produce a quick and decisive winner, a quick and decisive nominee. So keep that in mind when you look at the rules inside of some of these states. That's Haley's first challenge. I'll give you the most dramatic example on the map. It's the biggest state on the map, California. 169 delegates up for grabs today. That's the biggest of any state. And in California, there are two major things working against Haley. Number one, it is a closed primary. There are no independents, no Democrats who are allowed to participate. We have seen that is the backbone of her strength in a lot of these contests we've had so far. And secondly, in California, the rules are a simple majority of the statewide vote, 50% plus one, and you get all 169 delegates. So the combination of that threshold and a closed primary makes Donald Trump the overwhelming favorite to collect all 169 in California. The second biggest prize today is Texas, 161 delegates. Rules are a little bit different than California, but again, this is a very conservative Republican electorate in Texas. Demographically, it is very much Trump friendly. It doesn't fit the profile of some of these states, some of these areas in states that Nikki Haley has fared the best. And again, it's winner-take-all for a statewide pool of at-large delegates, and then it's winner-take-all in each one of the congressional districts. Do you just look at the demographics of Texas, you compare it to what we've seen so far, and Trump is heavily favored to take the overwhelming share of these 161. Basically, with those two states right away, you can expect probably Trump to be north of 300 delegates just there, and then you add in Oklahoma, in Arkansas, in Alabama. These are essentially winner-take-all states. Huge favorable demographics for Donald Trump there. Tennessee, it's a little quirky with some fine print in the rules, but that could be another target for Trump to get all of the delegates here. So where could Haley make any kind of noise tonight, maybe make a splash? Probably her best chance to win a state is right here. It is Vermont. Donald Trump in the 2016 primaries, the first time he ran, only got 32% of the vote in Vermont. There's no party registration in Vermont. Independents, Democrats, people who think of themselves that way, free to participate in this. And obviously, it's a deeply blue state, so you might have a lot of voters who don't really consider themselves Republicans, but who like the chance to vote against Donald Trump. So you could see that in Vermont. Virginia is interesting, too, especially congressional districts in the northern part of the state here, just outside Washington, D.C. Demographically, they absolutely fit the profile of where Haley's been doing well in these primaries. In fact, they're even better demographically for her than a lot of the areas that have voted so far. In Virginia, you can collect delegates by congressional districts, so there are opportunities for Haley to pick off some there. Minnesota and Colorado, again, complicated rules, but she could get a chunk of the delegates there. But the bottom line here is she's been talking, 43% in New Hampshire is her high water mark. If you're getting 43% across the board tonight, that is going to translate into very few delegates. And meanwhile, Donald Trump, that lead he has right now over Haley, he could be near 1,000 delegates if it breaks, sort of as I'm showing here. If it breaks that way, he could be near 1,000 delegates by the end of tonight, with 1215 the magic number.
And of course, the Haley campaign has pledged that she'd stay in through Super Tuesday. That's today. Beyond that, we're not quite sure what the future holds. Steve, though, Trump has racked up win after win after win during this process outside of the District of Columbia. But there have been warning signs, too, like whether it's a turnout or percentage of votes that he's received, that point to some vulnerabilities for the fall. What are you going to be looking at tonight that could be more flashing warning signs for Trump, even if he wins, but could have concern level for the general election?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's interesting. I mean, we know we've known since 2016 where Trump's problems are and where his vulnerabilities are in a general election. They're in the suburbs. They're with typically college-educated voters in the suburbs, a little bit more on the higher income side of things. And so that is where he has had his worst showing so far in these primaries. Haley was able to win a congressional district in South Carolina down by Charleston, had by far the highest concentration of college-educated voters in the state of any congressional district. So there, as I say, there are districts in Virginia that fit that. There's some districts in Minnesota that fit that. There's some places in Colorado that fit that. So you're looking there, for Trump's weakness tonight. But in terms of how applicable applicable it is to the general election. I would just caution on that because we've seen this in the polling now consistently, and we had 4 new polls come out over the weekend, 4 new major national polls on top of our own NBC poll from a few weeks ago that all put Donald Trump ahead by a slight margin. And when you look inside those polls and you look at what looks like potential slippage with Republican voters in these primaries, you do not see it in general election polls. You look at Republican voters in general election polling, Trump is getting more than 90% and losing only 2 or 3% of them. And I think one of the things you're seeing in these primaries is that there is evidence in states that have open primaries or semi-open primaries that there's a large segment of voters who are going to vote for Biden in the fall, who voted for Biden in 2020, who absolutely can't stand Donald Trump, and they tend to be in these suburban areas who are participating in the Republican primary. The rules allow them to. They want to vote against Trump. They take the opportunity to do it. And I think that's added in these states to some of that non-Trump total, because the polling is also suggesting here a lot of that Haley vote will indeed, the general election polling we saw over the weekend, a lot of that Haley vote is prepared to go and back Donald Trump. So, we'll take a look at those suburbs as they come in tonight. But I also think, as we were saying last week with Biden in Michigan and that uncommitted vote, there's some reason to take it with a pretty big grain of salt.
All right, NBC's Steve Kornacki. I know you'll be watching every moment of this. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to break down today's results. And